Hello, all you positive heads out there. It's so good to be back with all you beautiful reflections of the one source consciousness that creates and animates all things. If you're new to this podcast, of course, we're super happy to have you here. And if you've been listening and enjoying for a while, I would be super grateful if you would please take a moment to give us a review on Apple Podcasts. It's one of the best and simplest ways to pay it forward and help others find the show so that they too can tap into the powerful perspectives and positive vibrations we are collectively emanating. The other unique and magical way to share this show is by sending any friends you think would benefit from listening to this podcast our Game with the Universe link at positivehead.com/game, also listed in the show notes, which will serve them up a quote-unquote random episode when they click it. Just instruct them before clicking the link to close their eyes for a moment and sincerely ask the universe to cue up the episode that contains the insight and perspectives that they most need to hear at this point in their life journey, and then click to listen to whatever episode is synchronistically served up to them. I have heard time and time again from people about the incredible results they received playing the game. So just tell your friends magical results are guaranteed or their karma back. You're recording.
Oh, I am.
That's the intro, everyone. That was Dalien giving you.
I can't convey the pinky to the mouth like that.
That's Dalien doing his funky rendition of the song that we're going to play on the outro. You get a little sample right up at the top.
I just did a funky rendition with no words too, right? Something.
Well, I don't need to ask how you're doing today because I can tell you're on a good one.
Yeah. Well, I figured we would just go into it. Into it. Boom. And we're back. Bam.
Well, like we're in it. So,
yeah.
How you doing today?
I'm great, as you can see. But what I anticipated came true, even slightly more sneakily than I thought, which is, something that happens a lot. It's just stuff coming to fruition in much the way you imagine, yet not quite the way you imagine.
It's never quite exactly the way you imagine, right?
Right. But then you go and you start taking tally and you go like, oh yeah, I did ask for this and that and the other thing. Mm-hmm. And you start realizing that you got pretty much everything, except maybe not in quite the form that you thought. Yeah. I'm just sort of implying a few things.
Thinking of that, something that's been on my mind, this is just, off the cuff, but well, everything I do is off the cuff almost. But I was just thinking, how often people will see something that they want or don't have, and then they'll be like jealous or mad, or, it's a pretty predominant thing in society. And really, that's just such a wrong perspective. Because if you're, the way I see it is, if you're seeing something that you want for yourself, whether it's wealth, whether it's relationship, whether it's a job, whether it's, health, being in shape, whatever it is, and instead of being jealous or wanting that, like people mess up so bad by like, oh, why don't I have that? I should have that. Instead of seeing it the correct way is like, wow, that reflection is right in my face right now. Like that is, it's one of those things where so often you can of course take it any way you want. And so often people are like, seeing something that they want for themselves and they're sort of like upset about the fact that they don't have it. Right way to really take it and perspective to take would be to say, wow, look at this beautiful reflection of what I desire for myself right here. Look, it's getting really close. It's getting really close, right? And I think that's like, I don't know. I just had that random kind of realization yesterday, I think. And it's, so I wanted to put it out there to share because I know everyone out there listening has experienced some level of like wanting something that someone else has or feeling like, and then bringing the energy of sort of, agitation or jealousy or whatever it is. And it's like, no, dude, you're getting it wrong. It's like, it's the opposite. You're calling it close to you. It's like, that's a reflection. Everything's a reflection that you're seeing and it's reflecting you. That's a part of you, and that's a cool thing when you start applying it to that sort of scenario that every single one of us can relate to.
Yeah, that's a big piece, Brandon, actually. It reminds me of a story involving Jerry Hicks, the departed ex-husband of Esther Hicks, right? And he had a wonderful personality. Yeah, he was a very smart and just very positive guy, actually.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that I recall reading, and this was one of the things that helped me get the whole idea of the law of attraction years ago, is how he had sort of a judgmental thought towards luxury vehicles, even though he wanted one himself, really, in the end, it turns out. But he related the story of how when he was young, he had this thought that, well, yeah, luxury vehicles were nice, right? But at the same time, they came with all this baggage of, for example, the just practices of the companies, the car makers that were making them perhaps not the most eco-friendly or sustainable, corporations, all the way down to the salespeople who were, pushing the cars out, a lot of times being, a little sleazy or slimy, etc. And then he had constructed this whole mindset of it being like an abundance thing that would take from someone. Mm-hmm. If he had a luxury vehicle, then he was somehow, for example, supporting things that he didn't want to stand for. But he realized that he could grant himself things and it didn't really take away from anything else.
Not at all.
And that he was actually creating abundance by actually asking and attracting a luxury vehicle into his life. So once he realized that, he had nothing but like nice cars.
That, so. Well, I've heard that said before. And I want to say it was Wayne Dyer who talked about this. Is like, you can't live in scarcity enough to help alleviate scarcity in the world.
Exactly.
There's no point. It's the exact opposite. Like, live in abundance because you're abundant. It's like there's unlimited amounts of it all. Everyone could be quote unquote rich, right? There's no shortage of calling it forth. I've heard it said before. I had an old business partner who said, money's not the root of all evil. It's like the lack of it is. And it's like, well, actually, it's just a made up resource, and there is no lack of true abundance. I don't agree really with the statement at all. It's you can attract. We would literally, if everyone was attracting abundance in the way that we could optimally, we would disrupt the monetary system altogether, because that's really just a false system holding back. It's sort of like potential. A construct. Yeah. And so if everyone was in this super abundant, high vibrational state and calling forth, unlimited abundance, well, then what would happen is that system itself would break so that the abundance could come through, because the way that system is structured is preventative and designed in a way where there's a reason 66 people have as much money on this planet as the other is 3.5 billion. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's designed to create scarcity and lack and all those things. But anyway, that's a whole nother topic for another day. But So, touching on some good stuff so far today, Dalien.
Yeah,
I like this.
Riffing, like you were saying, just off the cuff. But we hopefully we'll come up with something, worth talking about, right?
Usually we do.
Exactly.
We're in flow with the universe, and we put it out there, like, bring forth. I want to be a conduit for the information that not only is relevant to my life today, but all the people listening and all those who are very close on our family tree, which is why they're tuning into this vibration, right? And it's so cool every time, we hear it time and time again. Oh my gosh, the synchronicity with what you talk about on a given day with what I'm going through is so incredible. And that's awesome. It's such a beautiful, beautiful, like, co-creative experience to share with all you guys. So I'm just overjoyed with appreciation for every single one of you that's out there tuning in and sharing it with others and helping to spread the positivity. And there's that.
Very well said, Brendan. That's very, very well said, Brendan. And it makes me think that at this point, because we've gotten this ball rolling and now we're co-creating this with our listeners, as you've said several times, right? It makes me think that as long as we are willing to share, you and I, there's going to be something to share.
Yep,
so
exactly.
It seems like, it's just going to work out that way.
So moving along into some interesting story stuff. You got anything exciting, mysterious story of the day?
Yes, I am going to skew a little more mysterious finally. Yes, since I had skewed a little more scientifically wondrous. Those are more like wonderful stories, like wonder-filled, because of the really pretty amazing nature of some of our current scientific and technological advances, right? They're starting to get pretty sort of fantastical in some cases, but sometimes we just talk about good old-fashioned UFOs, ghosts, and or other things that are just
Bring it.
Unexplained mysteries, really. Yeah, so this is a little bit of something like that. And I've talked about Nephilim before, Brandon, or giant-like creatures as reported in the Bible.
Yeah.
But this is an article from Collective Evolution from last week that goes all about that. And it mentions this researcher called Michael Ellinger, or Tellinger, pardon me, who is sort of a real-life Indiana Jones when it comes to this stuff. And he's made some pretty tantalizing discoveries. Now, for sure, by this point, Brandon, as the article mentions, there's really been mention of a giant race of beings or humanoid beings in quite a few cultures, really, throughout history. So it's not just a thing from the Bible. It turns out that apparently even Abraham Lincoln might have mentioned something like this. It says here, even Lincoln apparently believed in them, in giants. If this statement made at Niagara Falls in 1948 is any indication, the eyes of the species of extinct giant, whose bones fill the mountains of America, have gazed on Niagara as ours do now.
Wow.
So it's a quote, I guess, that he made. But, who knows? I mean,
there's supposedly all these skeletons that have been found, and you see pictures, and then you have people saying, "Oh, this is fraudulent. This is not legitimate. It's a hoax." But there's so much mention of it, and like just example there, Abraham Lincoln, or even going back into more ancient texts. It's like, I don't know. They've also found like Hobbit-like creatures, right?
Exactly. No, that's another thing that made me think of. Exactly, is if you're talking about like beings who are very tall as to be giants, right?
Tall.
Then we have the other end of the scale for sure. Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, what are they like? Some of the skeletons they claim are like 18 feet and stuff. Like super tall.
Wow, those are huge. Here they make
unless
mention
I'm remembering wrong.
Here they make mention to the more, I would say, perhaps credible giant size of 7 to 9 feet tall, which is actually more commensurate with something like the very tall or tallest African. Some of the African, I guess you would call them genotypes or whatever that are very, very tall, right?
Yeah, in some cases. I know you had in the NBA. I remember years ago, and as a kid, this Kimbe Mutombo, and he was like, 7'6" or something.
Right, but here they definitely mention finding these skeletons, Brendan. For example, one of them, I guess, is in Cardiff in Britain, referred to as the Cardiff Giant, 11 feet tall. And some of the other ones that they've found that the Smithsonian has studied are 7 to 9 feet tall, decorated with heavy copper bracelets and other religious and cultural items. So
wow,
it's just they've been found to possess other more alien traits like a compressed skull, one of these like elongated type skulls and this sort of thing. So it's just pretty tantalizing. And the article goes into more detail. It talks about giant structures as well, which may be like architectural things, features. For example, some of them in Egypt, really, as part of the great complex of like Giza and whatnot. So, temple structures that they've analyzed and appear to be built by and for giants, essentially.
Reality is stranger than fiction. I think
it's pretty crazy because I'd say that there's I don't know. It seems like there's a good chance that perhaps there's been a humanoid giant species that I won't say is necessarily human or humanoid, or perhaps humanoid, but not of this planet who's been here. So I could say that's a candidate for perhaps alien extraterrestrial beings. So yeah, Brandon, it's pretty cool. This guy Michael Tellinger's got a series actually called Hidden Origins on Gaia.com. So it's pretty cool because you can see and hear him talk about more of this and other more mysterious things.
Cool.
There, so well,
I like Gaia. I have a subscription to it. So if you ever want to get in there, there's so much cool content. Like,
pretty cool. I'll be sure to check it out then.
Yeah.
Well, I have a quote that was prepared for me that actually is pretty cool because it does actually appropriately talk about, or it's an Albert Einstein quote, which I've written quite a few blogs on, actually.
He's got some good ones, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's someone who I definitely resonate with as far as these more sort of bite-sized nuggets of wisdom that he spewed that sometimes had that sort of scientific bent to it, of course, right? Yep. But Einstein, I think, was very wise. So this quote is, energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be changed from one form to another. So as you can see, just almost a statement of scientific principle really from him there, right? His famous E equals MC square, right? The kind of archetypical scientific, equation or whatever. But that's the one that energy cannot be created or destroyed. And the principle is so beautiful because it's, I think, really just what underlies the whole universe and the essence of consciousness. That whole thing that I consider really the kind of scientific basis for it all. If you reduce everything to consciousness, then that's how you can see that we're all one. All of us have a consciousness. Every human being is not only conscious, but self-aware. And that's sort of the hallmark of our experience as human beings. But as our consciousness extends sort of outward from, this awakening ape, creature that we are, all the way to the far reaches of, where we are now with our technology and our civilization, and also our spiritual awakening, where we're realizing that we're godlike beings who forgot who they were, and we had this whole fall-like experience, right, of falling from grace, you could say, falling from paradise, realizing that we undertook that whole journey.
Yeah.
It's a fascinating thing to see that if really nothing can ever be created or destroyed, then this is just the archetypal hero's journey where we cannot lose so long as we make the right choices. We have to continue to fight and make the right choices. Yeah. But we can just grow in a lot of confidence. We can just know that we're going to win in the end. Yeah. So I think that that's the beautiful thing is that we have referenced story before, right? But I think that we can use this and really kind of look at it like, okay, take a scientific principle and use it as part of your story. But you can really, of course, use anything to justify your story and to say, okay, this is why I'm going to win. I love the idea. And I was just recently thinking, Brandon, that consciousness is so responsive, to a human being. And of course, we also have the creative power, right? Which is inextricably related to our conscious awareness. I don't know. It's like a very incredible thing we have. We are both self-aware and creative, right? Which no other being that we know is, right? Until we make alien contact, of course. But no, it's really amazing that we have this power, and it goes to such an extent that when we are fully tapped in and tuned in, as Abraham Hicks likes to say, everything is literally like we say. It's like our word is our command. Yeah. And we can really just create anything. I mean, if we have a lot of doubt, then we will attract that will compound in on itself, and we will feel, you know what I mean? It will feed on itself, and we will feel very confused. That's how people, how we make ourselves confused. On the other hand, I'm suggesting that you can begin to really just start dispelling so much like fog from your life and confusion by saying, okay, from now on, I intend to gain clarity, and I intend to do this, I intend to do that. Just start to declare things. Just start to declare them and know that they're true. Yeah, just start using that
clarity. I am,
And if you can move into that space and know that how this relates to energy not being created or destroyed, I think it's really because of the whole model of consciousness. Yeah. Again, it all goes back to consciousness being the supreme creative entity and power in the universe, really.
Well, it makes me think of a video, YouTube video that I just watched yesterday from Matt Kahn, who is a really amazing spiritual teacher, someone I would very much intend to have on the show at some point for an interview. But Matt Kahn, I found this on, I was listening to True Divine Nature is his website, truedivinenature.com, I believe. And then the True Divine Nature YouTube channel. And it was the video, and it's a long one. It's like an hour and plus called Energy Upgrade. And so we won't share it for time's sake. You guys can go check it out. I highly recommend it, and any of his stuff for that matter. But what he talked about, I'll give you guys kind of the overview of what he talks about on that. And he talks about the 3 different states of energy. So energy is either circulating, it's stagnant, or it's being integrated.
Oh, okay.
So this is awesome. Really, really cool. I have really resonated with this, which is why I wanted to share a bit of it on today's show. So if you're circulating energy, obviously it's moving. It's moving around, and you're attracting more of it. It's like think of a water stagnant pond versus a flowing river or stream. The energy difference is huge. And the life and the everything that comes from the circulating energy. When it's stagnant, you get problems, you get disease, you get all those sorts of, think of drinking out of a stagnant pond. You got to be really careful with that. Like, whereas if it's flowing, the water's getting oxygenated. There's all this fresh, just good, right? And so it's the same thing with our energy. And what he talked about was really interesting, though. He talked about circulating energy. So let's say I start doing. One of the things that people do is they get stagnant. They're doing the same things with their energy every day. So if you're doing the same thing, you're stagnant. You're not, and even if those things are good, they can start out as circulating, but then turn into stagnant. And he basically talks about how important it is to constantly be introducing fresh energy. How did I interact with this person at work? Oh, we always gossip about this, that, and the other, right? Okay, instead of doing that, now the energy's stagnant. We're doing the same thing we're in this loop, right? How do I change it up today? Well, today, when this person starts, gossiping or whatever, I'm going to start complimenting them. I've never done that before. What have you done? You just brought in circulated fresh energy. Oh, I'm going to, instead of, just going for a walk this morning, which I do every single morning, which becomes stagnant after years of doing the same exact walk, I'm going to go do yoga, right? Boom, circulating energy. You're doing something new. You're introducing new energy. And so it's really interesting because he talked about like, hey, you could be meditating. He said, I was talking to someone and they were saying, how they meditated for 2.5 hours a day and had been doing that for years. And he goes, well, that's your problem. It's stagnant now. When you first were doing it, it was probably the best thing that ever happened to your soul and your being and your, go do something different. Do a walking meditation. Just to constantly be circulating in fresh energy. It's like, what a cool concept. And it really resonates with me and really rings true. And I think for all of us, it's so easy to get caught in these patterns of recurring, habit, right? Break your habits with new, fresh ways of bringing in fresh energy. Do it differently. Do something differently, whatever it is. Even if you're doing these great habits, change them up, give them a break, then come back. Try a different great, energy to introduce. And then, of course, he talked about integrating. So a lot of times I really like this perspective, too, because it's like, imagine you're trying to interact with someone and they're not really kind of present for you. They feel kind of disconnected and you're thinking, well, do they not like me? Is it something wrong? Was it something I did? They were so loving to me yesterday. And now today they're just kind of, they're integrating, right? It makes me think of doing ayahuasca journeys. You have this amazing experience. And the next morning we all sit around and with the, in the case, at least with the shamanic facilitator I've done it with, we do integration, and I think it's a pretty common thing to do. You talk about everything that you've went through and you spend the day integrating. He highly recommends just go integrate, veg out, take it all in. So if someone is all of a sudden kind of disconnected feeling or not responding the way they did, maybe they were circulating energy with you hardcore. I can think of it in romantic relationship, with my new partner, we'll have all this energy sort of circulating. Incredible chi is being built up. And then maybe the next day it's there's some integration. We just need some space and time to let things settle in. It's and it's so easy to fall into, oh, what's wrong? What's changed? And it's no, nothing's changed. It's just integration happening and it's part of the process. So I really, really love this perspective and I highly recommend everyone trying it. I know I'm going to be right on all over this. I'm going to be trying to circulate new energy, reacting to things or conversations differently, just mixing and throwing in things that I know, you don't ever go for a walk, circulate new energy. You've instantly attracted more, you've opened yourself up. And this is how you get into the flow of creating more. You have more power, essentially. You're calling in more energy to work with when you do this. Don't fall into stagnant habits, even positive, stagnant habits. So what a powerful lesson. Mm-hmm.
That's a really, really great one, Brandon. Really insightful stuff there. And in particular, what you said about integrating energy, or what Matt, himself shared about that. Because when you hear about circulating and stagnant energy, those two seem pretty obviously opposed to each other. So you would have the two contrasting things. And then integrating, I guess, is the third one that I might not have considered, but that all makes sense. And it seems also like if you sort of intuitively start understanding how this all flows and works, how energy really can be in one of those three states at any given time, then I think that you can really get an intuitive understanding. Because as you were sort of implying with what you were saying, if energy is either circulating or stagnant, then that's going to feel differently, right?
Yeah.
And for sure, both of those, stagnant and circulating energy, definitely have that different quality to them.
And you,
right?
Yep, and you instantly feel it when you've started circulating energy. It changes your. It's like getting taking an energy drink from the universe, right?
Right.
You instantly feel think of the times, hey, Dalien, when I first got you to go do yoga, let's go do yoga. Think of like afterwards, like, whoa, there's all this like new energy in my field. Like what just happened? Like, and so you become conscious of this and you can see it for a lot of people, and some it's harder than others. They can really fall into stagnant patterns. And then they wonder why more isn't opening up in their life. It's like, well, your energy is so stagnant. There's no room, There's no way you're not bringing it in. You've got to consciously bring it in with your deliberate action. And by understanding how it flows and works, this is a key piece.
Oh, yeah. Marry that with that whole intentional, very deliberate, conscious, setting of intentions, right? Yep. And you've got a recipe for a very powerful creation, I'm sure.
Exactly. That's exactly what this is. This is a creative formula. This is how to co-create your reality. You call in new energy. If you want new things, you want bigger things, you want better things, you want more of what you is missing in your story, this is a way to call in the energy, the building blocks essentially for it.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Very
Dalien,
cool.
I suppose we're running out of imaginary time yet again.
Yeah.
Luckily, we've got infinity ahead of us, so we will be back.
Yeah. Let's leave it at that so people can integrate.
integrate that one.
Yeah.
And as far as music, I have a really lovely track here queued up.
You sure do. This is a great
Hadn't heard it in a while, and someone played it for me yesterday, and I was like, oh, good one for the show. I forgot about the song.
I know.
This is Glass Animals, and the song is Gooey.
I say